You know what time it is. It's time for me to give you my first impressions on the new Sony Xperia Mark II. You ready? Let's go. So of course I was a fan of the first Xperia 1, and I guess we can refer to it now as the Mark 1. And just for the record, I actually really like Sony's new naming strategy, and I know a bunch of other YouTubers have criticized it, but me personally, I like it. What about you? Anyway, so naturally Sony have made a series of visible improvements to its new Mark II, which you'll only really notice when you're actually using this thing. And that's why I had to go out and spend my own money to get one of these so that I could make this video for you guys. And I'd really appreciate a thumbs up for that if you're a Sony fan. So let me list out the design improvements that Sony have made on the new Mark II, so that you know what to expect if you're considering buying one of these for yourself. So here we go. The glass on the front and back is still Gorilla Glass 6, just like the Mark 1, but somehow it feels just a little bit nicer. Maybe it's the more angular edges that it has, or maybe it's the fact that Sony have made this ever so slightly heavier than the Mark 1, and it's ever so slightly smaller, 1mm on the height and 1mm on the width. And there's something about it that I just really like the feel of. So here's a big one. The fingerprint reader on the Mark 1 was a bit hit and miss, and the good news here is that it does seem to have improved significantly when it comes to accuracy. But not only that, it's also now a fingerprint reader and a power button. And one cool feature you got here is if you double tap that power button, it opens up your Google Assistant even if the phone screen is locked. And I like that.
This came back from Google.
And in my opinion, this is a much better implementation. It's just much easier to use. Now here's another visible difference, and you guys probably noticed the Zeiss T-Star branding on the camera hump. Yes, it does look more eye-catching than the Mark 1. And let me just clarify why the Zeiss branding is here. It's not because Zeiss made the optics. It's actually just a thin layer that's over the optics that reduces glares on the cameras. Essentially what it will do is eliminate those sort of ghost flares when it comes to your photography in bright lighting conditions. And you know I'm going to be fully testing this out in my camera test videos, which are coming very, very soon. So if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications for those. So now let's talk about the placement of the camera module. I think this was a smart move here. Sony have moved it off to the side, and I think this is a good usability improvement. And I say this because it just works better in combination with Sony's iconic shutter button, as now you're much less likely to cover the lens with your fingers when holding this phone like a compact camera. And that is really how Sony want you to use this phone. And I'll save those camera improvements when it comes to the software and the hardware for the dedicated camera test video. But I have to say, so far I am really enjoying that 20 frames per second eye autofocus feature that this has. I've tested it out quite a bit and it's pretty impressive. And how could I forget to mention the headphone jack is back. I didn't think it was going to happen, honestly, and you know I'm a big fan of that. And these headphones you see here, the Sennheiser GSP 500, I'm giving these away along with a bunch of other gaming stuff. If you want to win this thing, I'll link the video on how to enter at the end of this video, so stick around. So now let's talk about some of the invisible upgrades that this has over the Mark 1 that you don't really notice unless you actually use the device. So the system on chip is upgraded to the current Qualcomm flagship, the Snapdragon 865. Everything is faster, it's more efficient, the graphics rendering is better, the AI is better. It's just an overall upgrade. The RAM is upgraded from 6GB to 8GB, so multitasking is also improved. The internal storage has been upgraded from UFS 2.1 to 3.0, which means faster read and write speeds, so installing apps and transferring files and moving files is much quicker. And of course this is a 5G handset now, and the Bluetooth has actually been upgraded a little bit as well. So the original Mark 1 was Bluetooth 5.0. This one, the Mark II, is now Bluetooth 5.1. And this is a huge one, it's the battery life. They've now upgraded the battery size to 4,000 milliamp hours. And they've also upgraded the charger that comes with it in the box. It's now a 21-watt charger. Now that's not super fast, but that's a good thing. So I've been using this for about 4 or 5 days now, and I can only tell you about my experience so far. I'm finishing most of my days with around 35% battery life left. And I don't find myself needing a charger during the day. And when it comes to charging this overnight, Sony's battery care software actually protects this battery and doesn't overcharge it too quickly, therefore giving you better longevity. So if you do invest £1,100 on one of these, you know you're going to get your money's worth from it, because the battery isn't going to suddenly start running out really quickly because you've been rapidly charging it too much over a year or so. So these power upgrades have really impressed me, and as you guys probably know, I test loads of phones on this channel, and my opinion is this is certainly a top tier smartphone, as you would expect when it comes to battery life. And I was thinking about doing some kind of Sony Xperia Mark II battery test video. Let me know if you want to see that. So let's talk about the screen now. So they haven't really changed the screen tech that it's using from the Mark I, but there is a new software feature, which is the motion blur reduction. Now, Sony originally kind of put this out there as a 90 Hz refresh rate emulator, and I've had it on since I've had the device. But to be honest, I'm not noticing a huge amount of difference there. It definitely helps, but it's not quite the same as like a 120 Hz display. So I think what's happened here is Sony have opted to go for the 4K HDR display, because this 21:9 aspect ratio is really built for watching movies and stuff like that. So movies typically are never shot in 120 Hz. So why bother putting a 120 Hz display in here? So ultimately it's kind of a trade-off. What do you want? Do you want a 4K HDR screen, or do you want a high refresh rate screen? And my general opinions of this display is it's really, really nice. They haven't sort of oversaturated the color. They haven't overdid it with the vibrance. And especially when you turn on that creator mode, you get maybe some of the most natural colors on a display on a smartphone. It's just amazing for watching movies on. And holiday season's coming, so I will be watching a lot of movies on this phone. And I'll get back to you on how it performs over long periods of time. And the last thing I want to talk about in this video is the operating system. It's basically stock Android. They've even got rid of their photo album, which I was looking for. I was like, where's all my photos? It's all in the Google Photos now. They've really stripped everything back, and it's so close to stock Android. It's crazy. But of course, you've got Sony's Cinema Pro app, Sony's Photo Pro app, the game enhancer, and I will be doing a gaming test video as well, so stick around for that. And honestly, I can't consider those bloatware. So first impressions are, I'm really loving this phone. I'm just getting used to that sort of tall display. I know it's quite hard to reach the top, but for me, that's not a big issue, to be honest. I just use my left hand. How lazy can you be? Loving that screen. The battery life is phenomenal. I will be testing the cameras out. I'm not quite sure where it stacks up against... What is it, Kaya? What is it? So my first impressions of the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II is it's really awesome. That screen is very unique. The cameras have improved, and we'll see how much they've improved in the camera test video. I've also heard rumors of it overheating, so we'll be testing that out. I'm really appreciating all the design upgrades that they've made to this. I'm making the most of the 5G as well, because I do have a 5G SIM card, and it just feels really user-friendly when it comes to the operating system as well. My only concern at this point is dropping this or scratching it, so I might actually make a video about a bunch of phone cases and screen protectors that you can get for this device. And I just want to pause for a moment of silence for all you guys out there who are really suffering right now in India. I know Sony have stopped shipping phones out there. My heart goes out to you. But if you really want to pick one of these up, you could ship it from here, the UK, and get yourself a free pair of headphones if you want. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man. And if you want to win the Sennheiser GSP 500s or even the 370s or a new PlayStation controller from Nikon, the thumbnail's on screen right now. Go check that video out. It's a short one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't be late.